All right, so you're maybe trying to pick up some conversational English.
Okay.
Maybe for a trip or just for fun.
Right.
Well, we're going deep today on just a list of 66 common words.
Okay.
But I think even if you know these words already,
Yeah.
trust me, there's more to uncover here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we take these simple words for granted.
Right.
But they really do hold these fascinating insights into how language works,
Yeah.
how cultures interact,
Wow.
even how our minds are wired, you know?
It's like finding hidden treasure in our own backyard.
Exactly.
Our first section here is greetings and introductions.
Okay.
And you think simple stuff, right? Hello, goodbye.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm already sensing there's a but coming.
Well, yeah, I mean, consider please and thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, they're polite. But think about the power dynamic there.
Okay.
You know, please subtly positions the speaker as needing something,
Right.
almost in a lower position.
Huh.
Fascinating how these tiny words establish sort of this hierarchy.
Wow. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So is thank you then a way to kind of acknowledge that power dynamic?
Exactly.
Right.
It creates this dance of social obligation in a way.
Interesting.
And it varies across cultures too. Like in some, a simple thank you is enough.
Mm-hmm.
But in others, there are these elaborate rituals of gratitude.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, if you misread those cues,
Yeah.
you can run into all sorts of awkwardness.
So even these basic greetings are like packed with this cultural baggage.
Absolutely.
We might not even realize we're carrying around.
Yeah.
Let's move on to common questions.
Okay.
This is like the 5 W's and an H, what, who, where, when, why, and how.
Right. The foundation
Just for curiosity, right?
Absolutely. But think about how those seemingly simple words unlock the most complex questions.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go from what's for dinner
Right.
to what is the meaning of life.
Wow.
And mastering these questions isn't just about vocabulary.
Okay.
It's about equipping yourself to learn anything.
Oh, that's cool. You know,
Yeah.
it's like having keys to the universe of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next section, everyday actions, seems pretty straightforward at first glance.
Yeah.
You've got your eat, drink, go, come.
Yeah.
Kind of mundane actions, right?
True. But they're also the building blocks of how we describe our experiences and tell stories.
Oh, okay.
You know, I went to the store. I mean, simple, but without that verb went, the whole thing falls apart.
Right.
These actions become the verbs that drive our sentences. So it's making that communication dynamic.
And it's amazing how these simple verbs combine with other words
Oh, yeah.
to make more nuanced actions.
Right.
So go becomes go ahead, go back, go out.
Exactly.
Just a handful of verbs, and the possibilities are endless.
That's the beauty of language,
Right.
this incredible efficiency and flexibility.
Yeah.
So from just a few core verbs, we construct this infinite array of meanings.
Let's talk about time and directions and basic needs.
Oh.
Words like tomorrow, yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
home, money. These feel really deeply connected to just the human experience.
Oh, they reflect our primal need to orient ourselves in the world.
Ah.
You know, tomorrow is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about the next day. It embodies hope and possibility, even anxiety about the future.
It's true.
We grapple with time and place and survival.
Yeah.
And these words capture that.
It's like each of these words is a tiny window into the evolution of human consciousness.
It really is.
Speaking of evolution, the feelings and reactions list
Okay.
feels like a Pandora's box waiting to be opened.
It is. We have happy, sad, angry, tired. They
Yeah.
seem basic.
Yeah.
But then you think about all the cultural layers.
Right.
What makes one person happy might be neutral to another.
That's true.
And how we express these emotions. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a whole other world of cultural norms and unspoken rules.
So even learning the words isn't enough.
Right.
You need to understand the context
Absolutely.
in which they're used.
Yeah.
It's making me realize how much I take for granted in my own language.
That's the point of this whole deep dive,
Yeah.
to appreciate those hidden complexities, even in the simplest words.
Before we move on, I have to ask about yes, no. And maybe
Okay.
these seem deceptively simple,
Right.
but they hold so much power in a conversation.
Well, think about it.
Okay.
You know, yes implies agreement,
Mm.
a willingness to go along,
Yeah.
perhaps even submission to another's will.
Huh?
Oh. Asserts boundaries, autonomy, even defiance in some contexts.
Right.
And maybe is that realm of ambiguity,
Okay.
of keeping options open,
Right.
sometimes even avoiding a decision.
Wow.
Yeah.
So each of these words is like a mini negotiation
Exact.
shaping the power dynamic
Yeah.
of every interaction.
Precisely. And then sorry, and excuse me, add another layer.
Okay.
Sorry, seeks to repair a social breach,
Right?
requests permission, acknowledges a potential imposition. They're not just words. They're tools for navigating that social landscape.
We've gone from simple greetings to uncovering these hidden power dynamics
That's true.
and the complexity of human emotions,
Yeah.
all from these supposedly basic English words.
And we've only just scratched the surface because this is where things get really interesting. How do these words come to be?
Right.
What are their historical roots?
Yeah.
That's where etymology comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Etymology.
Yeah.
That's a word I don't use every day.
Right.
Sounds almost like a magic spell.
It does a little bit.
But you're saying it's the key to unlocking even more secrets about these words.
It really is. Think of it as like a time machine for language. By tracing the origins of words, we can understand how our ancestors saw the world and how their experiences shaped the language we use today.
Wow.
It's like you're holding a piece of history in your mouth every time you speak.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
So give me an example. What's like the hidden history behind one of these simple words that we've been discussing?
Okay, well, let's take the word home.
Okay.
A word that evokes feelings of comfort, belonging, safety. It has roots in this Proto-Indo-European word domus, meaning house or dwelling.
Okay.
And this word evolved over time, taking on different forms in various languages.
Right.
But that core concept of a place of shelter and belonging, that remained constant.
But even though our modern homes might look vastly different from the dwellings of our ancestors, the word itself connects us to that ancient desire for a safe haven.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that certain human needs and aspirations, they transcend time and culture.
And the same goes for words like eat.
Absolutely.
I mean, that comes from the Old English word etan, which is related to the Proto-Indo-European root ide, meaning to consume or to bite.
Yeah.
So whether we're enjoying a gourmet meal or just grabbing a quick bite, we're participating in an act.
Totally.
That goes back to our earliest ancestors.
Right. It's amazing how these simple words carry the weight of history and cultural evolution.
It makes you wonder, are there any modern words that might become these kind of foundational words
interesting.
for future generations?
Yeah.
Words that will carry the weight of our current experiences.
That's a fascinating question. It's hard to say for sure which words will stand the test of time.
Right.
But I imagine words related to technology and the digital world might become the new eaten home for future generations.
Yeah.
Think about words like online, download, or virtual. I mean, these are already deeply ingrained in our daily lives.
Yeah, they are.
And could become even more essential in the future.
I can already imagine a future etymologist tracing the roots of online back to like our current era.
Right.
It's a reminder that language is constantly evolving.
Absolutely.
Reflecting those changes in our world and the way we live.
Precisely. And while predicting the future of languages is impossible, it's safe to say that these basic words we've been discussing, they have a good chance of sticking around because they represent such fundamental aspects of human experience, our need to connect, to communicate, to make sense of the world.
It's comforting to know that even as language evolves, some things remain constant.
Absolutely.
And speaking of constants, we've discussed how please and thank you can reflect those power dynamics. How yes and no are tools for navigating social situations. And how even a word like tomorrow embodies our complex relationship with time. But there's one category we haven't delved into as deeply. Feelings and reactions.
Yes. The language of emotions, perhaps the most nuanced and challenging aspect of human communication. Even with a limited vocabulary, we can express a wide range of feelings. But as we touched on earlier, the true meaning often lies beneath the surface. Cultural context plays a huge role in how we express and interpret emotions.
You mentioned earlier that what makes one person happy might be neutral to another. And I can only imagine how angry or sad might be expressed in vastly different ways depending on the culture.
Exactly. Take the word angry, for example.
Okay.
In some cultures, expressing anger openly is considered rude.
Right.
Or even taboo.
Wow.
while in others, it's seen as a healthy way to communicate frustration.
Okay.
And even within a single culture, there are different ways to express anger, from a raised voice to a subtle change in facial expression.
So learning the words for emotions is just the beginning.
Right.
Understanding the cultural nuances and unspoken rules around expressing those emotions is key to effective communication.
Absolutely.
It seems like a potential minefield for misinterpretations.
It can be, but it's also an opportunity for incredible growth and understanding.
Right.
By paying attention to how different cultures express emotions, we can become more sensitive communicators and build stronger relationships across cultural divides.
So how can we use these basic words for feelings and reactions to communicate more effectively, especially when dealing with complex emotions that go beyond simple happy or sad?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how often we struggle to articulate our feelings even in our own language.
It's true. One approach is to combine these basic emotion words with more descriptive language to paint a richer picture of what we're feeling. Instead of just saying, I'm sad, we could say, I'm feeling down or I'm heartbroken.
Right.
It adds a layer of depth and helps others understand the intensity and nuance of our emotions.
So it's about building upon the foundation of those simple words to create more precise and expressive language.
Exactly.
But what about those times when words simply fail us? How do we communicate emotions that are difficult to put into language, especially across cultural boundaries?
That's where nonverbal communication comes into play. Our facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice often speak volumes.
Right.
A gentle touch, a warm hug, or even a shared silence can sometimes convey more than words ever could.
Wow.
Think about how a simple smile can transcend language barriers and create an instant connection.
So effective communication isn't just about finding the right words.
It's not.
It's about using all the tools at our disposal to express ourselves authentically and connect with others on a deeper level.
Precisely. And remember, communication is a two-way street.
Right.
It's not just about expressing our own feelings. It's also about actively listening to the emotions of others, even when those emotions are unspoken.
It's making me realize that effective communication, especially when it comes to emotions, is an art form in itself.
It truly is.
It requires empathy, patience, and a willingness to be vulnerable.
And like any art form, it takes practice
and
a willingness to make mistakes. But the rewards are immeasurable. When we can communicate our emotions effectively, we build stronger relationships. We create more understanding and foster a more compassionate and empathetic world.
On that note, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored so far. From greetings to emotions, from power dynamics to cultural nuances. These simple words have revealed a world of complexity and insight.
It's amazing what we can discover when we look beneath the surface of the everyday.
Yeah.
And it highlights the power of language to connect us, to help us understand ourselves and others.
Right.
And to make sense of the world around us.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much to explore.
Oh, there is.
We've got some fascinating listener questions waiting for us.
Okay.
Let's dive into the practical applications of these powerful words in everyday life.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a renewed sense of awe for the power of simple words.
It's remarkable, isn't it, how much depth we've uncovered in the everyday. And it seems our listeners are feeling it too. We've got some great questions that take this exploration even further.
Let's dive right in. Our first question comes from Sarah.
Okay.
She asks, if these basic words are so powerful, are there any tips for using them more effectively in everyday conversations?
That's a great question, Sarah. And it reminds us that communication isn't just about the words themselves, but how we deliver them.
Okay.
So one tip is to be mindful of your tone of voice.
Okay.
Even a simple yes can convey enthusiasm, hesitation, or even sarcasm, depending on how you say it.
So it's like adding this layer of musicality to our speech.
Exactly.
What else can we do to make those basic words really sing?
Pay attention to nonverbal cues.
Okay.
Your facial expressions and body language can amplify or contradict your words.
Right.
Imagine saying, I'm happy while frowning.
Yeah.
The message gets muddled. We're communicating even when we're not speaking.
Yeah, that's true.
So that congruence between words and body language, that's key.
It's a good reminder to be aware of our overall communication style.
Yeah.
Speaking of sending mixed signals.
Okay.
Our next question is from John,
Okay.
who asks, how do you navigate saying no politely?
Okay.
especially in situations where you don't want to hurt someone's feelings.
That's a universal challenge, John.
It is.
It's all about finding that balance between honesty and kindness.
Right.
One approach is to express appreciation before declining.
Okay.
You could say, thank you so much for thinking of me, but I'm not able to commit to that right now.
So acknowledging the request before stating your no?
Exactly.
Oh, that softens the blow a bit.
It does.
Any other strategies for those tricky no situations?
Sometimes a brief explanation helps.
Okay.
You might say, I'd love to, but I'm already overcommitted this week.
Right.
You don't have to over-explain, but a little context can go a long way.
It's also important to remember that no is a complete sentence, right? We have the right to set boundaries without feeling obligated to justify ourselves.
Your no is valid.
Yes.
And you don't owe anyone an explanation if you don't feel comfortable giving one.
Right.
Trust your intuition and prioritize your own well-being.
Our final question comes from Maria.
Okay.
Who's feeling a bit overwhelmed by the prospect of learning new languages.
Yeah.
She asks, do you have any advice for getting started? All the grammar rules and vocabulary feel intimidating.
I understand completely, Maria. It's easy to feel lost when faced with a new language.
Right.
My advice is to start with the basics.
Okay.
Greetings, common phrases, and yes, those 66 powerful words we've been dissecting.
So building a solid foundation with the essentials before tackling the more complex stuff?
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What else can help those starting on their language journey?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's all part of the learning process.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
Right.
And remember, the goal is communication, not perfection.
Exactly.
And find ways to use what you're learning in real-life situations.
Oh, yeah.
Chat with native speakers, watch movies, read books.
Right?
Even if you only understand a few words at first.
Yeah.
Immersion is key.
Absolutely. The more you surround yourself with the language, the more natural it will become.
Okay.
And who knows, you might even discover hidden depths in your own native language along the way.
Well said. It's been an incredible journey exploring the power of simple words.
It really has.
From basic greetings to the nuances of emotional expression.
Yeah.
We've seen how these building blocks of language shape our communication, our relationships,
Right.
even our understanding of the world.
And we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
I know, it's exciting.
There's a lifetime of exploration to be had with even the simplest words.
So as you go about your day, pay attention to the words you use.
Yeah.
Both spoken and unspoken.
Right.
Embrace the nuances, explore the depths, and remember, even the smallest words have the power to create profound connections.
And shape our experience of the world.
Well, until next time, happy communicating.